Welcome back to the Wall Street Podcast. Today we're doing our deep dive into the Wall Street Journal's edition from August 11th, 2025. We'll be focusing on some pretty significant shifts in corporate strategy, market dynamics, and of course, policy changes. Our goal here is to really distill the key takeaways from you.
Absolutely. And this edition, it provides a really interesting snapshot of how things like global trade, investment trends, and government policy are, well, converging, especially around technology and, interestingly, trust. It paints quite a detailed picture.
Okay, let's start with U.S.-China tech and trade. High stakes there. The Journal reports Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan is planning a White House visit. This is notable because President Trump had actually called for his removal just last week, citing his ties to Chinese businesses. What's really going on here?
Well, it's fascinating timing, isn't it? This visit happens right as we see a, frankly, unusual trade tactic emerging. NVIDIA and AMD, they've agreed to give the U.S. government 15% of their AI chip sales to China.
15%?
Yes, specifically for the H20 and MI308 chips. These are, the really high-performance ones, crucial for advanced AI models. So it's not just about restricting sales anymore. The government is directly taking a cut from sales to arrival. It could set a whole new precedent for how strategic industries are handled globally.
Right. So geopolitics is actively reshaping the tech landscape. But what about the investment side? The money flowing in and just general corporate behavior? The Journal also points to a huge surge in capital related to AI. Valuations for companies like NVIDIA, OpenAI, they're soaring. And this is driving billions into these new AI-focused hedge funds. They're accumulating assets incredibly fast.
And if you connect that to the broader corporate picture, it gets even more interesting. U.S. companies have announced, get this, $983.6 billion in stock buybacks just this year. The projection is that it could top $1.1 trillion for the full year 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's primarily the tech giants, Apple, Alphabet, and the big banks. It's like JP Chase. So you have this massive investment in new AI ventures happening alongside a huge flow of capital back to existing shareholders.
Which brings us neatly to policy and public trust. This seems critical right now. The Trump administration is interviewing candidates to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics, including, apparently, longtime critics of the agency itself. This comes right after the BLS commissioner was fired following that weak jobs report.
And this really raises some important questions, doesn't it, about the integrity, the independence of our economic data. The Journal draws parallels to Argentina back in 2007 with the politicized inflation reporting. When official numbers were, let's just say, managed for political reasons, it really comes down to trust.
Yeah.
Can you rely on the official stats that guide so many decisions?
Okay, we've covered some big picture policy and market moves. Let's pivot to some areas that might affect you, our listeners, more directly. President Trump's executive order on 401ks and alternative investments that could really shake up retirement saving. How might that play out?
Well, the order basically tells the Labor Department to look into allowing 401k plans to invest in alternatives, things like private equity, even digital assets like Bitcoin. The idea is to potentially boost returns, maybe get closer to strategies used by big defined benefit pension plans. But it also tries to tackle the worry employers have about litigation risk. Getting sued if these less traditional, maybe more volatile investments don't perform well. That's been a major hurdle.
Interesting. Okay, shifting gears to retail. Target. Their internal employee survey seems to reveal some real struggles large retailers are facing now. What did the Journal uncover there?
It's quite revealing. The survey showed a significant number of Target employees lack confidence in the company's future direction. And this reflects a whole host of challenges they're grappling with: reviving growth, leadership changes, also those cultural issues around certain product selections, plus just competing on price when inflation is high and consumers are, well, changing how they shop. It's a look inside the pressure cooker for a major retailer trying to adapt.
Okay, one last area. Cities paying people to relocate for remote work. The Journal suggests this has gone from a pandemic experiment to a real strategy now. What are the economics of that?
Yeah, it's really taken off. You've got platforms like Make My Move listing, I think, over 178 different programs now. Yeah. Cities like Noblesville, Indiana, they're offering maybe $5,000 cash plus other perks to attract remote workers. And we've seen some early successes. Tulsa Remote is often cited showing real local economic benefits, job creation. Its communities actively trying to leverage the remote work trend for their own growth.
So pulling this all together, what does it mean for the average person? The Journal highlights this kind of interesting split in the labor market. On one side, you have individuals spending quite a bit on their job search. Thousands, sometimes. They mentioned a Josh Morgan. pay $10,000 for 6 months of help from career strategists and AI tools after a layoff. It shows the personal investment now sometimes needed just to land a new role.
Right. And that contrasts so sharply with what we just discussed. Cities literally offering cash and perks to bring remote talent in. It really paints a picture of a fragmented, maybe somewhat uneven, but definitely dynamic labor market. Some people are paying to find work, others are getting paid to relocate for it.
So here's something to think about. As technology continues to reshape everything from how you look for a job to where you can live, how will these very different economic trends, the high cost of personal job hunting versus incentivized relocation, ultimately influence things like wealth distribution and regional development across the country?